I want to tell you a little story about this little handheld right here. This is one of my Zire 71s. It's pretty cool. It's got a neato party trick where you just slide it up and there's the camera, and there's the camera button right there. It's pretty darn cool. It's Palm OS 5.2, very average if you've used any of those before. Kinda like the Tungsten E. It's even got a Texas Instruments OMAP CPU. So the camera itself can take VGA pictures, which is smaller resolution than what came next, the Zire 72, which could take 1.2 or 3 megapixels. But the funny thing is the Zire 71 actually takes a way better quality picture than the Zire 72. But anyways, enough about the device itself, because I want to talk to you about something funny. And that's the battery that's in this particular thing right here. I don't know how, I don't know why, but this particular battery is like a survivor. So, you know the standard advice when it comes to old batteries, especially lithium ion, is not to plug it in because it could blow up, and you don't want a Note 7 situation on your hand. But then the other thing that happens with old lithium ions is sometimes they're just completely so dead that they're not even there at all. It's almost like it's invisible. And then in the middle of those two is where it just puffs up and then it just snaps the case apart, but it doesn't like actually blow up. But then the rarest case of all is this right here, where it seems to work absolutely fine. It's been dead for over a decade straight, and it still holds a charge for quite a long time. Because I do have like a laptop from 2001, and its battery still holds a charge. It only holds a charge for like 15 minutes, which is still a miracle by itself. But this Zire 72, this Zire 71 seems to hold the charge better than replacement batteries that I've had to add in some of my other Palms. As a matter of fact, I have this M515, which I got in the same PDA lot as this 71. And this M515, I actually plugged it in immediately as soon as it got delivered, like that same day. And its battery puffed up. And it puffed up so much that it snapped the case apart.
That's a lot of damage.
And so I got scared, and I'm like, okay, I'm not plugging anything else in. You know, I undid all the screws.
Today on I Can Probably Fix That, we'll be talking about screwdrivers.
Took the battery out, I disposed of it correctly. Don't worry, I did it correctly. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to plug anything else in from this lot, am I? And that happened in about I want to say like 2014. So, you know, it's been quite a while. And that's when I got these. That's not when they were last used. I couldn't tell you when they were last used. By my reckoning, I could probably safely put 15 years on this thing being dead. I doubt that it was fully charged, and it just barely died right when I got delivery of it. So it's pretty safe to say it's like 12, 13, maybe 15 years this thing has been dead. And I didn't even attempt to plug it in back then, of course. And about 2018-ish, I did plug most of these in to make sure they weren't the exploding kind or the expanding kind. Because I do have a couple of batteries that are completely like dead and invisible, like this Garmin right here. As soon as you unplug the cable, no matter how long it's been plugged in, it just dies instantly. But the battery doesn't puff up, so that's great. So in 2018 I plugged them all in for about 5 minutes to make sure they wouldn't expand. But that's it. Didn't turn on, didn't do nothing. Now I can't tell you why I was possessed to plug it in and leave it plugged in about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I did. I think I was just like, you know, let's try it out. I had the screwdrivers ready just in case it decided to expand. But I mostly just wanted to see it turn on, and I figured, well, it should turn on at least if I leave it plugged in. And, you know, the battery won't hold any charge, but at least I can explore it a little bit. Because I thought I did not have a functioning Zire 71, and I've got 2 of these. So I left it plugged in, and about maybe 20 minutes, like a full 20 minutes later, it finally turned on. And I was like, whoa, cool, okay, I'm gonna keep my eye on that thing. Because, you know, I've replaced enough batteries in here on other devices, and I know that as soon as it turns on, you just can't unplug it right then and there, because it'll just die instantly. So I left it plugged in for a while. I was like, well, maybe it'll hold a charge enough for, you know, if the cable wiggles, it won't turn off immediately, because that happens with other stuff too. So I did, and of course, I am looking back at it every once in a while to make sure that it's not blowing up. But anyways, I kind of forgot about it for a good 4 or 5 hours as I was doing other stuff, and then I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So I go over there, check it out a little bit. It's pretty cool. Yes, the camera is actually better than the Zire 72. I don't know where they sourced the image sensor for the Zire 72, but it wasn't very good. If you see these comparisons on the screen here. But anyway, I unplug it, and lo and behold, it holds a charge. And I've had this happen with other stuff too, where it'll hold a charge for like a few seconds, even though it's been plugged in for 10 hours. So I take it out, I stare at the battery for a good, I don't know, maybe a good 10 seconds. I stared just right at the battery on the top of the screen, and it didn't go down. And I'm like, wait a minute, is the battery just fine here? And so I kept looking, I kept doing other things. I put it back, put it down, did other things, came back to it. Yeah, the battery is still fine. It's still golden. And like, okay, so you gotta understand like the circumstances that led to this too, because I mentioned the years, but you gotta know a little bit more about that. So first of all, like I said, this was like 2014-ish. No, yeah, definitely 2014. I know where I was living at that time. Maybe even early 2013. Or I mean late 2013. But I got the big set from eBay. You know it had to have been dead for at least a year or 2 before it got shipped to me. Now I live in Arizona. It's very hot here. But I keep everything inside, of course. I would never leave it outside. Except for... well, you remember that whole thing in 2020 with the disease? Well, of course we were buying a house at that time, and so we had to put everything in storage because we sold our house that we were living in, and the new one was getting built, and we're like, okay, well, we'll be like a month outside of the house, and then we'll be able to move in, right? Well, think again, because of course the COVID happened. We were forced to leave everything that we pretty much owned in storage unit. In the Arizona heat, it's not an air-conditioned storage unit. And it's in that storage unit for 6 months. And it's full-on summer. We started this in, like, spring, and, like, it was there all summer long in the heat. Non-air-conditioned. And so, of course, I'm thinking, like, of all those batteries in there are cooked. Because I didn't bring them with me. Because we had to stay at my great-aunt's house. I didn't bring them with me because I'm like, well, it'll be a month, that's fine, that's not gonna hurt it too much, right? And well, I guess apparently it didn't harm it for this one, or my other ones, but I was really worried. And then of course that was still like 5 years ago, on top of that. But I do have other survivors too, like here's my my iPod Nano that I've been using since like 2017, and its battery still holds a charge just fine, and it lives in my car. So it gets pretty darn hot in there, but I do park it in the garage. But it still gets like 100 degrees every single day inside the car, even in the garage. And its battery's pretty much fine too. I guess I could use a new case, huh? But I'm just wondering, like, where did Palm source these batteries for the Zire 71? And where did they get it for the M515? Because that same M515 that I replaced the battery on? Well, I have to replace it again. It's on its 3rd battery, and the 71 is still on its original battery. I mean, I have a Palm TX that also has the original battery and it lasts for ages, but I figured that's because I've been using it and charging it and discharging it at like I don't want to say responsible rates, but I haven't let it get all the way down to 0 too often. And I also don't charge it up to 100% often, like, I don't leave it on for like 8 hours. So I'm just like, where did Palm get these batteries for the 71 from? And where did they, like, get the bad batteries from for the M515 that made all of them expand? Because I did open the other ones up and plug them in just to see if they were as bad, and they were, they all expanded. But I was ready for those ones. Man, I don't get it. They must have, like, gotten the same batteries as the Nintendo DS. Because if you want to know another device that holds charge like no one's business, it's the Nintendo DS. Like, this is one of my Nintendo DS's, yeah, I got more than one. And I haven't charged it in years. I think this one, because I've had a 3DS, so I can play all my DS games on there. I haven't charged this Nintendo DS probably since like 2018, and it still reports a full charge, and it still is keeping the time. It's running like a clock. You know, I don't know what to tell you. It's still crazy that stuff like the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 can happen in this day and age when the Zire 71 was made how many years ago and the battery's still fine? Yeah, I don't get it. Anyways though, I think that'll do it for story time for today. I really need to think about how I want to make videos for this whole genre. But anyways, that'll do it for now. See ya.